Niue police look to crack down on speedsters and improve road safety following an apparent increase in motor vehicle and road violation cases before the courts. Concerns over the lack of adherence to speed limits, especially within village boundaries, has posed a safety risk. The speed limit within village boundaries is 40 kilometers and outside of these boundaries 60 kilometers, but it seems the message is not getting through to road users. Chief of Police Tony Edwards says the police will continue to monitor speed and enforce the laws to avoid any complacency.
We're going to be monitoring the roads and also those on the vehicles, and we have our strategies where we will be able to carry out these measures so that everyone can use the road safely. But it has become a concern now to us as police officers that there are a lot of motor accidents, and so we need to make sure that we monitor the usage of vehicles on Niue. No, we're just warning everyone now, and it's a firm warning to every driver who uses a motor vehicle that it is the safety of those inside the vehicle that you're with. And we're making sure that every driver of every vehicle needs to take responsibility, and their responsibility is the safety of those inside the car, especially the infants and the young ones who are riding in the car. They need to be mindful that they need to sit them down on their seat, and it'll be wise if you use a safety belt, or if they're in a baby chair. But those are the things that we need to work on as well, so that we can put that into law. But it's heavily we're going to get out there and make sure that every driver is responsible for it, because I've seen a lot of children standing on chairs whilst the car is moving, and I've seen kids poke their heads out of the windows. Again, everyone needs to take responsibility and make sure that that it doesn't occur, because if an accident occurs, what comes out of an accident is going to be much worse than them being complacent about leaving their child unsafe.
In addition, road safety issues across the board raises a need for a change in approach to deal with drunk drivers, disorderly behaviour and driver responsibility. Chief Edwards says there needs to be a degree of responsibility taken on board by vehicle drivers for their passengers, but especially children. By ensuring that children are restrained and seated properly, that will ensure their safety and avoid unnecessary accidents.
We continue to ask, the public, to be mindful. Always be mindful that, even though we say that this is a peaceful country, but everyone needs to be mindful that there are rules in this country, and there are rules that the police will enforce. And we will continue to enforce these laws, so that, that everyone can live peacefully on this island. So I'm asking and I'm pledging to the public to be mindful that, that there are rules, and those rules need to be obeyed, especially with speeding, drink driving, disorderly behaviour, all those kind of things that you need to be mindful of. So yes, we are taking extra measures, and these measures will be able to, for us police officers to enforce the law.
Chief Edwards says the system has been lenient and now needs to take a tougher stance in ensuring safety. This morning's local court opened with a minute's silence for one of Niue's presiding judges who passed away in New Zealand last week. Honourable Judge Norman Smith passed away in Auckland. He last presided in Niue High Court at the beginning of this year. Justice of the Peace Des Hipper acknowledged Judge Smith's assistance to the Niue judiciary system. And in the local court this morning, a registered 21 cases to answer saw the majority of the cases involving motorists, negligence, driver's licence and failing to adhere to the ordinance of the Transport Act. The Niue courts take place once every month with local justices of the peace. The Niue government has signed a variations agreement with Air New Zealand. According to Honourable Premier Tokitalangi, details of the agreement will be discussed further in the next couple of months.
We really received the variation of the contract to extend it to next year, and that's what I signed with in Auckland and gave to New Zealand to sign and return to us.
Honourable Premier Tokitalangi said the government will try to ensure the air service continue to for Niue.
It's essentially to ensure that there is continuity in the contracts that we have with Air New Zealand. So I'm happy to do that.
So this is both for the Friday flight and the second service?
Yes, it's an extension of both, and we're hoping that by September this year we'll be able to sit down and evaluate the second service figures and then determine from there what we should be doing in the long-term future, looking at next year, the year after that.
And staying with the air services, the airport development is also on target to complete in October. New figures released by the Environment Department shows an increase in pigeon and bat numbers with a promising outlook for the sustainability of forest and fauna on the island. Baseline data taken in 1998 counted 447 bats at long-term monitoring sites. Normally, the bird survey is carried out every 10 years, but following the devastating effects of Cyclone Heta in 2004, the department conducted a survey that confirmed significant losses. A similar survey was held last year that has had some positive results with the rehabilitation process.
Basically, the number of birds that was killed during Cyclone Heta was quite significant. And straight after Heta, there was some shortage of foods for most of the bird species on the island, which prompted the department at that stage to actually undertake some rehabilitation program in terms of feeding most of the birds. And since then, there has been some improvement in terms of the number since 2004 towards last year's counting. So I think, but there's still some lessons for the department to learn from in terms of looking at some of the contributing factor to the decline of the lupe and the peka. I think the number of shotguns available to people on the island is quite high in our analysis, and the amount of ammunition made available is quite high also. But I think these are some of the things that the department would be looking at over one of the projects that we're anticipating running for the next four years. So I think we will be working closely with the public in terms of creating awareness and the need to try and preserve some of our birds' life on island.
Director of Environment Sawini Tongatole says that the focus is one on these two main species that people hunt, and there needs to be some understanding on managing and sustaining these numbers. The department will continue to do awareness campaigns on the importance of these species for biodiversity.
Generally, I think in terms of awareness, I think we will be focusing on the importance of the species, why we should keep a viable population on island, and their contribution to biodiversity actually. Because I think that's one of the things that people are not aware of in terms of the need of these two particular species in terms of the pollination of our indigenous plants on the island and the way they spread and distribute some of the seedlings around. And I think the numbers that we are looking at in terms of trying to maintain is quite crucial at this time of time, not to have a very low population, because once you have a very low pace, then there's some difficulty in terms of breeding for our future planning and shooting if people continue to shoot.
Sauni says that other factors like the number of firearms and ammunition sold will be discussed in terms of sustainable conservation of lupe and peka on the island. To ensure that peka and lupe survive for future generation to eat, there needs to be management of hunting by enforcing the hunting season, limiting guns and ammunition, stopping the illegal importation of ammunition, and banning hunting after cyclones and other natural disasters. Survey figures will also support the department's ongoing projects and work. Niue will continue to support the Regional Assistance Mission to the Solomon Islands, or RAMSI. Honourable Premier Take Talangi said Niue government will continue to support the regional initiative.
We went because we make a contribution towards that, and they recognise and they thanked us for that. We will continue to support. I think we're looking at sending somebody else in August of this year.
Civil conflicts in the Solomon Islands created huge tensions and problems 10 years ago, but have lessened in the last few years. Honourable Premier Talangi said he travelled to the Solomon with one of the first officers to join RAMSI.
I took the Chief of Police, Tony Cossey, because he was part of the RAMSI. He was one of the first people that we sent. And part of that training has done him well, so he's now come back as Chief of Police. I'm very pleased about that.
According to Premier Talangi, the removal of the military assistance to the islands will continue with the policing aspect of the mission. Leaders from the Pacific travelled to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the establishment of RAMSI last week. Niue still has one police officer currently on active duty in the Solomon Islands. To end our news bulletin for this evening, Tonga held their pre-show day fishing competition over the weekend, with keen fishermen and women all out to get the catch of the day. Conditions at sea were a bit rough and weather somewhat unpredictable, but that didn't keep the crowd away. The reef fishing competition, open to those from Tonga, did not have many competitors, with mainly women turning up on the day. The canoe fishermen had better luck launching off Avasela in the Waka Tonga Fishing Challenge organised by Tina and Muyaki Makani. In the pelagic species, there were no tuna caught. The heaviest wahoo caught by Umusi Makani weighed in at 14.3 kilos, second Sima Tanevesi with 12.9, and third equal Andre Siohane and Toma Faifuhini with 12.7 kilos. Heaviest individual pelagic fish prize went to Umusi Makani. For the combined bottom fish catches, top prize went to Ekuaki Setu with 7 kilos, second James Mataele Salikiki with 6.2, and third to Sifi Mokale with 5.8 kilos. The heaviest individual bottom fish was a Palu Sikawa, weighing in at 8.7 kilograms, caught by Darren Matongia. Another prize for the most bizarre catch went to Ekuaki Setu. Laka Tonga champ went to Umusi Makani. Total fishermen on the day was 42, and the event concluded with the prize giving and barbecue. Organisers of the event are thankful to all the sponsors who were able to support and make this a reality, with hopes for bigger competitions in the future. Now the village look forward to the Village Show Day this coming Saturday. That's our news for this evening. Good night.